time to grow with the SEO Queen. Receive the perfect leads like never before. No traffic is gonna explode. It's time to grow.
Welcome to the SEO Queen Tech Show, a podcast to help you get more visibility, credibility, and profitability through marketing insight and inspiration. This podcast is designed for entrepreneurs and business executives who want to get more customers, clients, and revenue through marketing insight and more. So today's guest is definitely innovating in the blockchain space. Our guest today, he has an exceptional record of achievement in computer science and information technology with a master's in computer science that he achieved at the age of 19 years old from North Carolina State University. He started out as a chief architect at AT&T Bell Labs, and he has been at the forefront of internet technologies and now into the blockchain. He's the founding member of the Digital Currency Monetary Authority. I want to introduce to some and present to others, none other than Darrell Hubbard. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome to the show, and I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, awesome. I'm so happy for you to be here too. So I have a question to ask you. So when you were a teenager, what drew you to computers in such a way where you got a master's degree at the age of 19? Tell me about your childhood.
Well, I was an average student for the most part. It was the end of the 8th grade that really turned me to get really excited about studying and being the top of my class. It was the last day of school in the 8th grade, and it was about 4 or 5 kids discussing that starting in the 9th grade, the school starts ranking us. And to get into the best college, you need to be in the top 20 of the class. And we sort of these kids explain this. I never understood this before. So I was overhearing the conversation. I was saying to myself, no, you guys are not going to be at the top of the class. I'm going to be at the top of the class. And that day really changed my life. So I went and got all the books for the 9th grade that day or the next few days. And I studied over the summer, all the classes ahead. And that's really been my formula. I don't really think I'm really that smart, but I'm always three or 4 months ahead of everyone else. So I tend to study in advance and understand the material before the class begins. So people think I'm really that smart, but I'm really not. I'm just a few months ahead. So but basically I studied 9th grade and the 8th grade, et cetera. And in the 9th grade, I decided to take computer science. I actually started in the 10th grade. And I just randomly took computer science and I just loved it. And just excelled from there. So I ended up getting an exempt from the 12th grade and went and got my associate's degree at the same time. I should have graduated from high school. So I got my associate's degree at 17. I started college at 16, associate's at 17. Then I transferred to a 4-year college and finished that 2 years in another year. So I got my bachelor's at 18. Then went to NC State for grad school and finished that in a year as well for my master's work. Got my master's at 19. So every year I was going boom, boom, boom. Pretty much.
Oh, wow. So all you did was pretty much just study, your summers during the school year.
Yeah, I studied in advance. Most people follow the course curriculum. They listen to guidance school advisors. I don't listen to any guidance school advisor. They're the worst advice you can ever have. I never known a college advisor or high school advisor that gives you good advice. And that's a mistake that most students make. They actually listen to their advisors. The information is there. You got to take your own education in your own hands, understand how the system works, and apply yourself. I mean, I had advisors literally because they didn't like that I was a smart Black kid, give me bad advice to try to hold me back. I won't go through all those stories, but most advisors don't give good advice. You need to take your own education in your own hands, understand how the system works. And I learned that's one reason why I was able to get through faster, because I understood how the course program works. Now I figured it out myself and took the right classes, not listen to advisors.
Oh, wow. So after you finish your master's in computer science at North Carolina State University, I also learned that you eventually got your MBA at Harvard. So how did that come about?
Yeah, I just applied after being at Bell Labs a few years. I learned about, the MBA program some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
When we grew up sort of poor in the projects, we didn't know about education. We were the first of our generation actually went to college.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere along the way, I learned about the value of a Harvard MBA, and I said, I want one. So I applied, and again, that was another good experience where I literally read the whole Harvard admissions from beginning to end, like a computer scientist figured out exactly what the values that they're looking for, and
Mm-hmm.
I applied towards that knowledge, and that's the only school I applied to, interestingly enough. But yes, yeah.
So you lived in Cambridge for a while.
Yeah, Cambridge and Boston.
Yeah. How did you like living in the People's Republic of Cambridge?
It was, different, but it's like in many parts of the world. So I've traveled all over the world now and lived in many states and many countries, and they're all
Mm-hmm.
different and interesting, but a lot of things in common. But I really like Boston. It's one of my most favorite cities. But even though I would say Boston doesn't like me, but I actually like Boston and Cambridge. Um, but it's not one of the most progressive cities as far as diversity and things of that nature. But I love the city personally.
Right, right. When I was working on my bachelor's degrees at MIT, and I lived in Cambridge, it definitely was a lot different than where I grew up in Long Beach, California. So, when you were first involved in the internet, and you said you're always ahead, like how did you first start getting involved with blockchain technology? What kind of caught your attention about that versus artificial intelligence?
Yeah, well, blockchain and AI both has been around for some time. I studied AI actually in college. Distributed computing I studied in college too. Blockchain is a
Mm-hmm.
specific application of distributed computing, but I didn't really focus on blockchain until after the whole crypto and Bitcoin is sort of splashed into the scene. So
Right.
the Bitcoin is just an example of a blockchain application, but one of the first innovation that sort of made focus on blockchain. So even
Mm-hmm.
though you can do many other things with blockchain beyond crypto and Bitcoin, it's just that was the application that sort of put it on the map.
Gotcha. So, you know, I find it really interesting because, my father actually has a computer science degree. He didn't get a master's degree, but, just being around, computer scientists, software engineers, I find it fascinating what you guys do and how you think about it. So, do you remember like the first time you started really like taking the blockchain more serious?
Well, yeah, 2013. So I had a team of colleagues in Amsterdam, and we applied for some grants with the European Commission on blockchain. It was looking at how to use blockchain for civic and social good, and that universal basic income, government application, and et cetera. And we won several awards from the European Commission to build out various blockchains for the prototypes and under a project called YETA, YETTA. And we did that from 2013-14 to like 17-18 timeframe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how did you get connected with your colleagues in Europe?
A good friend of mine that was just in Europe, who was also doing his PhD at the time, and we just sort of connected. I can't remember how he reached out to me. I was doing, I think, a research on the space in some kind of way. We just connected, and he was telling me about the work that they was doing, and he was based in Europe, and he thought my background would be great for the team, and we just started just applying for grants. And he had other team members, and we won those awards. And we just started putting out various research, which led to more awards. So over like a 4 or 5 year period, we did lots of work for the European Commission, and that work got us published on the European Commission website, and the United Nations picked it up, and the World Economic Forum ran an article on us. And so other governments started reaching out. So from there, went to People's Bank of China, Korea, Singapore, on, which eventually led to forming the DCMA, the Digital Currency Monetary Authority.
So my next question is like, how should people really understand blockchain technology, and how can it impact society? We already see the currency, but
Sure.
what do you want to, what is important for people to know?
Well, I guess trying to understand what is blockchain, I get that question a lot. And a good way to think about the blockchain is really two words: blockchain, right? Where a block is a block of transactional business information, and it's chained together, right? So as more and more business events happen, it creates a chain, and the whole idea is to create an undisputable list of business transactions that cannot be sort of altered, tampered with, to show information integrity over the history of a relationship. So if you go into, like, for example, your healthcare records, every time you go to a doctor visit, a pharmacy, and they do a diagnosis, a treatment plan, if it's on the blockchain, every single interaction you have with the healthcare system will be recorded, and it can never be modified, tampered. A lot of medical records now, doctors go in and change things, update things. So even if you update it, it will not update the master record. It will only create a chain of the next event. So you will see the original, health diagnosis, and if it's updated later, you will see the update. But a lot of times, a lot of corporate and government systems, they override information for whatever reasons, and you lose the audit trail, the history trail of what really happened. So the idea about blockchain is creating an undisputable financial or information history of business transactions, and where it's undisputed, and then you make it transparent to everyone that's in the network who have access to see it.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So I think, information integrity and the security of your history is very important. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So, I hear a lot of people talking about, cryptocurrency right now, NFTs. So what is cryptocurrency, and what is an NFT?
Yeah. Well, again, so the cryptocurrency is just another application of blockchain, where instead of storing maybe your history, your medical history, is storing your monetary history of money. So a cryptocurrency represents some type of financial, monetary, or investment asset. It could be like a commodity, like digital gold, or even money. People have digitized money. It could be an investment in like a crypto company. So instead of a stock certificate, you get a crypto certificate. So cryptocurrencies are basically digital representation of other things, other assets in society, but it's been designed in a digital cryptographic form. But it's not like it's just a new innovation for how to represent real world assets, whether it's like monetary assets, financial assets, or investment assets. And NFTs is talks more about the ownership of those assets. So now you could take I think if you own, NFTs was created around art, originally digital art. Like you could take a movie clip, a video, a highlight, or a slam dunk in the NBA or whatever, and you can digitize it and sell the ownership rights to that asset. And over time, people have expanded the use of NFTs to not just be assets, but it could be actual, real estate, or just any asset that people own. So it's more about showing who has the ownership history of a particular asset. It was birthed around digital assets. You can really use it for any asset.
Yeah, I think this is really like a huge, financial innovation in the market to, manage ownership, and also just the audit trail of data transactions and financial transactions. Yeah. This is just pretty incredible. Yeah. I had the opportunity to be in a NFT masterclass a few weeks ago, and there's a gentleman who is selling an NFT series called The Royals. And when you purchase an NFT, you not only you get the art, but you also get, a ticket into this huge gala that's happening in Ghana, the around the same time as Afrochella in Ghana this year. So what innovations have you been seeing in the market with cryptocurrency and NFTs that people should know about?
Let's start with crypto first. Well, the crypto is in various sort of applications. I would say One is monetary. People use crypto heavily now to represent money, whether it's we call them stable coins, which is like we can take the U.S. dollar and create I call it, say, a USDA, which is a U.S. dollar asset. So if you own a USDA, it's just like owning the dollar, except now it's in crypto form. It's in a or you can use it to represent a stock certificate. So you buy Apple or Google, these companies. Well, that's in the equity markets, but in the crypto exchange, I can wrap that stock into a token or a crypto asset, a digital asset. And now you can buy Google and Apple through cryptography. So they're just different. It's taking real world assets and figuring out how to put it in crypto form. So people may say, well, why I need to do that? Well, in the centralized world, we call it, with governments and corporations own your assets, they have full control of them. In the blockchain world, it's decentralized, where you can have self-custody of your own assets. So you can decide when you want to trade them or move them and secure them without having the government or a central authority intermediary control those assets for you. Now, there's some risk in self-custody, because now you have the full governance of your own asset. The value of a government agency or corporation owning, don't say owning, but securing your asset, is they invest lots of resources in ensuring your assets are secure in those things. But sometimes people they may think governments and corporations are abusive to their power and may not do the right thing. And I want to be able to control my own monetary assets. So it's pros and cons of both ways. But the whole idea around blockchain and crypto and NFT is I own my own assets. I don't have to rely on any government or central authority or corporation with my data and with my ownership. So just imagine if all real estate records were in the blockchain, where everyone can see who owns these deeds and the houses and the history, without having to go through a lot of service providers to get that information, right? You better go online and look at it yourself. And whoever owns that house can sell it to you without going through an agent. And if you know anything about real estate, like I do, most agents are not, I should say much, I'm not gonna say most, many agents are not ethical, and they're not transparent with buyers and sellers on how things are done. They have their own self-interest. They do a lot of things based on self-interest, right? With blockchain would make things transparent, and real estate owners could do deals between each other without relying on self-interested agents who's doing things based on what they want to do.
So I have another question for you. Do you think the classical microeconomic models apply to the cryptocurrency market, or are the rules just different?
Well, so far, the rules have been different. So if you look at like money, for example, when the Feds, like right now, the Feds have raised interest rates significantly in the last 2 months because the inflation has got really high, right? So they control the monetary supply of money through interest rates. So there's been monetary policy around money, but there are not monetary policies around crypto. And when the Feds have done, fundamental economic things to try to change money, it hasn't really impacted cryptocurrency as it may impact the stocks and bonds. So far, crypto has been sort of decoupled from fundamental and more, microeconomic sort of principles. But that may change. That may change over time. Crypto has been very much what we call a social currency. It is actually probably more volatile to Elon Musk tweets than it is to fundamental analysis, unfortunately. Right. So yeah, it's not. It's been. That's sort of one of the downsides, in my view, of crypto, that it sort of lacks more, sort of more fundamental principles of how it's valued and traded. It's been more of a social construct, and that's sort of the reason why it hasn't been heavily adopted outside of sort of enthusiasts of sort of investing in it and trading it. But in crypto 2.0, which is what I'm introducing to the world, we are adding monetary policy to cryptocurrency and giving it more of a framework for how it could be valued and looked at and traded, without sort of the wild swings of just, that we get today in the crypto market.
And speaking of wild swings, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so many other cryptocurrencies have taken a dip, and many people say we're in a crypto winter. So what are your thoughts about the current market shift?
I would say they're being nice if they're saying we're in a dip in a crypto winter, because that happens every year. I think this is different than the years before. A dip happens in every market. They tend to come back around. I would look at this more of a crash. So like when the internet crashed back in 2000 or early 2000s, right?
Right.
So every time there's a new innovation that hits the market that's revolutionary, like cryptocurrency or the internet of 20 years ago, there's normally a lot of exuberance, over exuberance. That exuberance leads to high valuations, wild swings, and a lot of money that's made early on. Like when the internet came out, anything that was .com that went public was in the billions of dollars almost overnight, right? But eventually that exuberance hit a bubble where it's like there's way too much exuberance in the internet, and people sort of feel that way now about crypto. It's way too much exuberance. Everything is making money without because of the merit of that crypto. So once the exuberance cycle sort of busts, it normally hits a crash. It's not a dip or a seasonal crash like the crypto winter. It's a real crash. And normally normally the only ones that come back, like the internet, are the real players, or the real companies that have real value propositions, like Amazon, Priceline, and eBay. Those companies, they came back, even though they were part of the crash. Normally when it crashes, everyone crashes, but the real players come back. So my view, I'm gonna say my opinion, because to be determined, I think we're more in a crypto crash than it is a bubble or winter. I mean, I don't think all the companies are going to come back the way it did in the first exuberance wave of crypto.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that many companies that manage crypto wallets for people have been under Coinbase has been under scrutiny. Some of the retail trading companies have been under scrutiny and have stopped trading. I know that I personally have bought some Ethereum, and honestly, I'm kicking myself because I didn't cash out when it was at its peak, and I thought it was going to go higher. But I mean, what do you think is like the future of cryptocurrency? And like, you talk about the exuberance. I remember Pets.com spending all that money on that Super Bowl commercial, and then they were out of business less than a year later. And so like, how can one, because this is important. I know this is important as a trend, but how can, business owners make some better decisions and getting involved with the blockchain and the various digital assets that are available?
Yeah, sure. So first you need to understand, like again, every revolution or innovation has iterations, right? And every iteration gets bigger and better than the next one, right? Whether it's driverless cars, or even Uber wasn't the first innovation of ride sharing. So Bitcoin created a genius innovation in fintech with Bitcoin, but the good part about Bitcoin is immutable and can't change. The bad part about Bitcoin is immutable and can't change, meaning the future is not, in my view, is not going to be Bitcoin or anything like it. But Bitcoin, if you look at its white paper, it was designed to operate outside of financial institutions. And it's its own version of currency. But now the banking industry has decided, because of Bitcoin and all these other cryptos and altcoins, they need to compete. And now they're creating their own DLTs and ledger technologies to bring crypto inside of banking, digital assets, et cetera. And that's going to be the future wave. And then we call that crypto 2.0, which is crypto that's designed to work within the regulatory environment of banking and financial services. And there are not many cryptos so far in the first wave that's been in that regard. So I would say for those who's looking to stay in the industry, just to start looking for the cryptocurrencies that fits into the crypto 2.0 compliance model, which is crypto to work within financial institutions, because they're going to have a lot more sustainability. The banking industry is far bigger than crypto. I mean, the crypto, at one point hit over $1 trillion, maybe even $2 trillion in market cap. The banking industry holds, trillions and trillions, tens of trillions of dollars, right? So the idea that crypto is going to take over banking is just, in my view, a false talking point. So once banking really adopt cryptocurrency, digital assets,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's going to be the future wave, and that's where I would be putting my focus, and that's what
That's interesting that you would say that that cryptocurrencies that actually have, you know, that financial oversight and that integration into other financial institutions will have the longevity in the market, because that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. You know, what I'm seeing, I'm hearing news of a lot of money laundering and other, you know, illicit activities happening on the blockchain, because the blockchain, you know, cryptocurrencies that aren't regulated is like the wild, wild west. You know,
exactly.
there really is no regulation. There's no monetary policy attached to it. So, what rising cryptocurrencies would you recommend for people to keep their eye on and to learn more about that are, you know, folding in monetary policy?
Well, there's only one that's done it so far, and that's what we created at the DCMA. It's just Unicoin, UNICOIN. It's basically stands for, it's a universal monetary unit, and we call it AKA Unicoin. And it's the first crypto 2.0 compliant cryptocurrency. And we're going to be launching this to the public first, but right now we're talking to banks and crypto exchanges to get it listed, and then we'll be bringing it out to the public. But we've been developing this platform for over 4 years in collaboration with several banks around the world. And now we just launched our testnet about a month ago. And once we finish, you know, going through all our testnet procedures, we'll be listing it on exchanges. But for example, like anyone can download Bitcoin, Ethereum wallets and start transacting overnight. And anyone means, you know, whether the criminals, illicit activity, et cetera. So in the crypto 2.0 world, you have to go through a FSP, what we call a financial service provider. So the same way you need the ISP to access the internet, you need the FSP to access the Unicoin network. And those FSPs are responsible for KYC onboarding. The same way we would send money through Western Union or TransferWise, any of these money remitters, they had to do KYC to make sure they know who you are, just in case you do any type of illicit activities, they know who that person is. So Crypto 2.0 is going to be also about KYC in order to join the network, to participate in financial transactions on that network. An FSP need to onboard you and do the proper KYC before they allow you access to the network to start transacting.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. So financial service providers. So I have another question. So there's a lot of financial service providers that's been popping up that are decoupled from a brick and mortar location. So what are your thoughts about these new banks?
Well, that's fine. I mean, it's not about the business model, whether they brick and mortar or online. It's about, are they regulatory compliant, right? Mm-hmm. So as long as they have in our view, they're a regulated bank, a licensed fintech, or a crypto exchange that has a license within their government, then they are fine. Now, if for some reason they do illicit activities and the central bank suspends their license, then they would be also suspended from our network. So we're not the decision maker who's an FSP. We rely on the governments or the central banks who approve those licenses to do that. But you simply want to onboard yourself into the Unicoin network, you must be an FSP within whatever jurisdiction you're in.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So what other points would you want to share about blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, and NFTs with our listeners?
Well, I would say in general, this is an early stage industry. And like many other stage industries, they're in the very beginning. They're just early adopters who tend to be the long-term winners if they stick with the technology. But you have to be also just due diligent on picking the right company. So I think we just went through a first wave. I'm calling it a crash now. Like they may call it a bubble or winter. I think it's more fundamental than that. And I think the next wave, and I'm going to call it the crypto 2.0 wave, is going to be about companies and cryptos that are now trying to work within regulations and financial institutions. They're thinking more sustainable and long term. And there's so many business models around it. The first wave has all been about trade. I don't know hardly any real use cases or real world adoption of crypto in phase one, right? Most people are just buying it, trading it, trying to make money. and that's good for investors, but it's really been bad for the ecosystem. Like a merchant, if you sell Mercedes and you would accept Bitcoin, and the next day it's down 20%, that they're going to really hurt your business, right? So people was not using crypto, Bitcoin, and any of the other ones really for real store of value, exchange of value. You know, they were saying Bitcoin's the best store of value, but no one was really using it for that, right? Because they know if they store value there, if you're a merchant and hold it, you had a lot of risk. So I think the real store of value is to come, and Unicoin is introducing that. Universal Monetary Unit currency is introducing that. But I think that's where the next wave would have to be. So the promise that we put out there in sort of crypto 1.0, in my view, hasn't really met the real test or the vision of it. And but I think the next iteration, you will see cryptos coming closer to that. And those can be the ones going to be regulatory compliant, and creating real value and real use cases. And they're not going to be volatile to Elon Musk's view or not.
Right. Elon Musk is I mean, just the whole tweet, and I mean, it's just a whole circumstance. It's crazy to watch. So my last question to you is, well, actually, I have two questions. How can people learn more about the cryptocurrency 2.0 movement and the Unicoin, and what three suggestions or what three tips would you give to entrepreneurs and business professionals and executives for success?
Okay, well, Unicoin, you can come to our website. It's Unicoin, UNICOIN.dcma.io. That you can see a lot about Unicoin there. We just, I think, put up our Twitter feed. We haven't done any social media around this yet, because it's a brand new currency that is coming out. But if you want to be the first person to follow us, go to our Twitter account, DCMA Press, DCMA PRESS, and we'll start posting materials there soon. But yeah, this fall you should start hearing more about Unicoin. There's been some press releases. I mean, Yahoo Finance did a big article on us recently, and a few others. I think about over 150 media outlets has contacted us to distribute our story. So we've gotten a lot of favorable press interest. But this is very new, but over the next month you will be hearing a lot about it. So that's how you can learn about Unicoin. And as far as the three tips, I would say I think crypto is still a good market to invest in. I would just be due diligent now about which cryptos to look at. And of course, I'm going to advocate Unicoin because it is the first crypto 2.0, and I think it's going to lead the next wave of investment. And Bank of America, I would say the second piece of advice would be reading an article. It's on our website, actually, under news. But Bank of America did a great article on the future of crypto, and it's describing pretty much everything that we're doing. But it's a Bank of America analyst that talked about the future of crypto, and basically what 2.0 is all about. And so I will look that article up. But if you go to our news section, it's I think one of the first news articles we have there, and that will educate you on just some of the ideologies around crypto 2.0 and the shortcomings. And third piece of advice, well, I would say that crypto is a very sophisticated sort of instrument. And sometimes a lot of investors or people want to learn the details of everything about it. But think about Google. Google is one of the biggest, Google and Apple, right? One of the biggest innovation companies of our time. As simple as Google is to search it, do you really understand how Google works under the hood? Or do you understand how the Apple iOS works? No, right? But you follow it and you invest in it because the use case and the innovation of it. So I would say the same thing. Don't necessarily need to understand the exact details of how the crypto engine works, because it's pretty cryptographic technology. Is very sophisticated technology, but look for those trendsetters who's compliant and have real use cases. And in the next wave, you will see those companies do, I think, sustainably better than those who's in the first case it's been high risk, high volatility.
Well, Darrell Hubbard, thank you so much for coming on to the SEO Queen Tech Show. It definitely was extremely informative. I think, keeping my eye out for the crypto 2.0 wave is something that I'm very fascinated in. The SEO Queen is your second follower on your DCMA, I believe it's Press.
Yes, DCMA Press.
Yeah, DCMA Press on Twitter. So I'm following you guys. And thank you so much for coming on the show. So you've been listening to the SEO Queen Tech Show, where we provide inspiration and insight for entrepreneurs to help them get more credibility, visibility, and profitability through their business ventures and more. We're broadcast all over the world on Bashani Radio from New York. You can listen to everything from New York City, and you can check us out on any mobile phone or tablet device. We're broadcast live on BashaniRadio.com, the Bashani Radio app, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and more. Thank you so much for listening. As a thank you gift, please go to SEOQueen.com. Click on Speak to the SEO Queen to book your complimentary strategy session so we can help you get your share of the searches that are happening on Google. As Darrell said, that Google is one of the most innovative companies of our time. And yeah, I can help you learn how to leverage it through our strategies to get you more customers, clients, and revenues. So again, thank you so much for listening to the SEO Queen Tech Show. And until next time.
It's time to grow with the SEO Queen, with visibility.